Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Operation Motorsport Championship. It is Season 10, Round 1 this evening of what is going to be a fantastic race here at the Daytona International Speedway. Such an iconic circuit that only a few weeks ago played host to the Daytona 24 Hours. But it's our turn to take our GT3 cars around this fantastic track for what will be an epic 45-minute race. I'm Matthew Duffin, joined in the commentary box tonight by Charles Beauchot. With me this evening. Charles, good evening, welcome to the broadcast room. It's going to be an epic race tonight, isn't it? It's surely going to be a spectacle here.
Oh, absolutely. I love the Operation Motorsports. Unfortunately, we're covering for Ron Mons, who's a little under the weather this week. So I'll be happy to sit in here in the booth and not battle this track. I had enough of this a couple of weeks ago, to be fair. But yeah, I was looking forward to a good race. We're to a single class this season. So everybody in the GT3s, we don't have any prototypes out there. So looks to be a fantastic race in the offering.
And there's a good mixture of cars looking at the timing screens in front of me here, from Audis, McLarens, Porsches, Corvettes, Ford Mustangs. We've even got an Acura out there, a couple of BMWs, as well as some Lamborghinis, or a Lamborghini and a solo Ferrari. So a great mixture of cars to see throughout this whole calendar this season. And what a calendar it proves to be. We head here to Daytona. We then head to the iconic Indianapolis. Road Atlanta with Laguna Seca rounding out February. Brands Hatch over on to my side of the pond of Brands Hatch to sort of mark that halfway stage of the season before heading back to Watkins Glen, Road America, CMTP, and the VIO, which I am not familiar on them circuits, so maybe you'll be able to fill me in on what them two are. But we're here in qualifying. It is the open qualifying of 10 minutes, and it's really a short qualifying format. 10 minutes, not a lot of time to make mistakes and make errors. You've got to get these lap times on the board around this circuit.
Yeah, absolutely. You need to go ahead and get yourself a banker lap set in. Find yourself a little bit of clear track and just get one lap on the books. That way, you know that you got at least a chance to move forward later on in quali, and then you can try and get yourself a hot lap in. But definitely important that you want to get as close to the front as you can. It's going to be one of those where, the closer you are to the front, I think the better chance you have of actually winning your class. So I think that's what everybody's going to try and do today.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to see, none the least, as drivers now just starting their first flying laps. We actually get the first lap time on the board of that of Martin Wallace with a 144.9 there. That is in the pro class. Obviously, four different classes for us today overall in this race. We'll get into them a little later on, but lap time's starting to come in thick and fast here. As we can see there, the pro beneficiary in the purple, pro in the blue, the open class is in that red, and then we've also got the beneficiary class in the green, which we'll get lap times on the board for them momentarily. But at the minute, it is Chris Walsh leading that pro category with a 44.8 in the Mercedes-Benz, as BMW goes top of beneficiary class in the green with a 145.3. Tyler Beeman then is out 145.1 in the open class, and down in the pro beneficiary class. Only the two drivers battling it out there with a 44.5 for Greg Meismer there. What a race this is going to be. And before we get into the rest of this qualifying session, we get a chance to thank our fantastic sponsors for Season 10 of the Operation Motorsports eMotorsport iRacing League. We're beyond excited to kick off another incredible year of racing this season, and we've got something very special. New for 2025, we are proud to announce the Operation Motorsport Beneficiaries Racing in the Pro, Beneficiary and the Beneficiary categories now have access to the virtual coaching using Trophy.ai services. This partnership is designed to help these incredible competitors refine their skills and become even more competitive on the track, all while boosting their confidence of it too. The interactive supports the eSport diversionary therapy program, which creates a thriving supportive community, medically released service members, medically retired service members, and veterans with a service-connected disability, as recognised by the US Department of Veteran Affairs or Veteran Affairs Canada. It's a space where participants ranging from active duty to veterans can come together, train and race in an inclusive virtual environment. This season, we have 15 Operation Motorsport beneficiaries competing, and we couldn't be prouder to have them on the grid. Let's show them some love as they continue to break barriers and redefine what's possible in the world of eMotorsport. Thank you for your continued support from our partners, CrowdStrike and Michelin.
Absolutely. Just love having CrowdStrike and Michelin continuing their sponsorship for the Operation eMotorsport League and Operation Motorsport as a whole. It's just a fantastic partnership. And lovely to have Trophy AI as on board as well. So that'll be a great benefit to our beneficiary and pro ben drivers.
And it's a great thing as well, isn't it, for the veterans and for people who are sort of coming out of service to get into some racing and get into some action. Obviously, I'm pretty new to the Op Motorsport sort of scene, so this is brand new to me. And just reading that is fantastic to see what the sponsors are able to do and put on for these people. Obviously in the United States and in Canada as well, as we are coming into the back end of qualifying. There you can see the overall leaders at the moment. It is Colby all at the moment, 143.964, the only man to dip into them 1 minute 43s. Currently in that pro category with the blue, the Audi. Bit of a surprise around here, I suppose. The Audi, not exactly the quickest in a straight line, and you've got all that oval section of the circuit to really use your horsepower and pull along. But the Audi at the minute proving its worth in P1.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Audi gets it. Probably got a good toe. Obviously, Kobe Oil last season was amazing. He basically won everything that he wanted to. So no doubt he's at the top of the top of the timing tower. But yeah, the Audi. Even with this Evo 2, I always say that there's one corner during the course of the race where this car just absolutely wants to kill you. It just wants to absolutely kill you. And it does something just completely off the wall. So I'm hoping that's not a commentator curse on Colby. But yeah, it's pretty strange to see that car up at the top of the grid for sure.
Great to see though. If you look at the timing tower at the moment, the top 6 cars are, bar 2 of them, 2 being Porsches, the top 6 are all different manufacturers. Which is fantastic. Ford just in 8th place, Mercedes in 9th, Ferrari down in 16th. And one thing I can say is that if there is such thing as a commentator's curse, which there is, let's hope that doesn't happen tonight. This car on screen though, Brandon Matteo in the Acura. What a car. The Honda NSX, Honda in general have to be one of my favourite brand of cars. A big touring car fan with the Hondas in them here in Britain. Beautiful to see a big Acura fan when it comes to the IMSA series and series like that I am rooting for the NSX tonight because I love the car. I think it's fantastic. And it's a car that now with the new, the new Porsches, the new Mustang, the Corvette, the Audi Evo 2, the Lamborghini, the BMW M4, it's not a car you'd expect to see chosen nowadays, just showing that it is still a competitive car when it comes to this kind of racing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. The Acura was a very nice addition to the GT3 field this season. And it's shown to be a pretty reliable car on the track and pretty handy to get that lap. So we'll see what he can do. It's he's got a little ways to get to the top of the grid, but 45-minute race. There will be a fuel stop. You never can tell what will happen.
This is it, and when you look in terms of a championship, not just in terms of one race, there are plenty of tracks where the Acura can come to the front and can show what it's capable of. Not necessarily great for its top speed, but it is great for its handling abilities and the way it can work itself through corners. On the infield here at Daytona, the Acura will be great. The minute it gets onto this oval banking, it will struggle, especially compared to that big, mighty Ford Mustang just up front, as the Acura is going to pull into the pit lane and complete his qualifying there as lap times are coming in to finalise qualifying here. And Corby Ull is still that man on provisional pole overall as well as in class at the moment, as we are watching that of Rodney Campbell come towards the line in his BMW M4, another lovely car. He's actually just finished his lap P5, that is P4 in category as well, half a second off of that provisional pole time. Lovely, some lovely liveries out there today, some lovely decals on the car as well. Carl Shelton in P24 in his Ford Mustang, 46.8 down the order for him. Now, Charles, Daytona so iconic, we know, for the 24-hour race that we saw a few weeks ago. Turn 1 on a rolling start here is going to be absolutely crucial, because we have seen dramas in the past at Turn 1, and it's going to be the same tonight.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah, anytime you have a rolling start here at Daytona, that first venture down off of the oval banking into turn 1 with cold tires and cold brakes, it seems like, and it always seems like it just kind of fans out into 4 or 5 cars wide. They try and get settled back down. We just hope that nobody makes any real crucial errors, takes out a big group of cars. But yeah, you have to be very careful on turn, especially at turn 1. But in the first lap overall, it takes a little bit of time for these GT3 cars to get some temp in the tires, get their maximum grip. So be looking out as we go through. Hopefully, we'll get through the first lap cleanly, and then it'll be a nice smooth race the rest of the way.
Yeah, we'll wait and see what happens. 45-minute race coming your way. 3 drivers didn't set a lap time in qualifying. We hope they will take to the grid at the end of this race, just looking at the timing tower. But a lot of drivers on grid, a couple of different nationalities as well, a few Canadians out there, as well as a Portuguese driver, Rui Farina, in P17 overall, driving the sole Ferrari out there today. So great to see different nationalities on the grid, heavily dominated by the Americans, obviously an American-Canadian series, as you would expect. Right then, this is Alex Duval coming to complete his lap in the Corvette. Drops under the yellow line. He's probably going to enter into the pit lane, and indeed he is. And that, I assume, will end qualifying there. And I tell you what, I have just looked through some of these team names as well. Breaking Bad Racing, Mad Sim Racing Team, Pit Lane Pirates. These are absolutely fantastic team names to see on this timing tower at the moment. This is absolutely fantastic to see. Really good team names. Baby Got Track. That could be the favourite one for the rest of the season. There you go. Hey, that could be the one for the season. The grid order, though, for tonight's race. Corby Ull is the man on pole position, with Martin Wallace lining up in P2. Chris Walsh on the second row, P3, with Greg Meisner, P4, the leader in the pro beneficiary class. Rodney Campbell, P5. P6 is Brandon Potts, the P1 in the open category. Jonathan Levy is P7, with P8 being Tyler Gulimet. Apologies if I do mispronounce any of these names. Tyler Beeman is P9, with Nolan Uke in P10, the P1 in the beneficiary category himself. Mike Sachs, P11 from Kyle Smith, with Matthew Ayote in P13, Ian Carney, and then Bryce Fortune in P15. P16 then is Brandon Leonard. Leonard. Rui Farina is P17. Brandon Matteo, P18. Louis Rios is P19. Alex Duval is P20. Chandler Baker, P21. Joshua O'Connor will line up in 22nd. John Hicks, 23rd. Billy Oul in 24th. 25th place will be Dave Bell from Kyle Shelton in 26th. Richard Davenport from Dan Fendick. Christopher Pugliese is 29th. Tyler Manning is 30th. Cody Durkin is P31. And P32, Tanner Masters. Rounding out the back end of the field, Philip Charter is P33. Cameron Orbanen, that's what we're going with, 34th place for him. Tyler Reid, P35. Elliot Whitefield, and then Gene Kelly down the back end in 37th place. That is your grid order for this race. Remember, 4 categories. The blue category is pro, purple is the pro beneficiary, green is the beneficiaries, and red is the open class. As we're about to get underway in the race, Charles, it's going to be an absolute brilliant one.
Yeah, absolutely. We got, as you said, multiple car classes or car types up in the front, so different models. So pretty evenly stacked field. So we'll just get down here, prep for turn 1, cross our fingers, hope everybody gets through, and then we'll have us a good race.
Indeed, we will, as we come through the Le Mans chicane and down towards the start line. We will go. This could be an absolutely fascinating one here at Daytona today, as we look to take on what is a really good challenge. 45 minutes worth of racing to bring you here in what will be a great day and a great season opener before heading to Indianapolis in a week's time. Another iconic circuit there. And this is going to be such a good race to see what will happen throughout the entirety of this. I'm looking forward to this one. As the lights come on the screen, the safety car is going to peel into the pit lane. And we should be about to go racing momentarily then. As there goes the safety car into pit lane. They're all double file coming down towards the start line. The red lights now come on. And we are green and go here to go racing at Daytona. It's a great start from the Audi out front already. The Porsche on the outside, having to hang it out wide from the Mercedes, looking up the inside of turn 1. And it is a very, very good start from the front 3. Very clean throughout the whole pack, coming through that first couple of sections of this circuit in towards the International Horseshoe. For the first time, as an incident happening there in the background. Missed out who that was. It is one of the Ford Mustangs, it looks like, in the wall. Maybe a BMW, sorry. As it all is tight and coming through the horseshoe. Pretty well done, though. Only one car off the road. That is pretty good so far from all these drivers. A big stacked grid here. Corby all got away well with Chris Walsh in that Mercedes. Just looking to maybe try and follow him and use that slipstream as they come through the Western Horseshoe now before coming into turn 6 and 7 onto then that oval section of the circuit. But a great start and a chance now for the Mercedes to use its horsepower and get a good slipstream on the Audi. Yeah,
we're going to see the Mercedes power, see if it can kick in and get close to the back of that Audi. Did see the car. It was Nolan Uke that had a little incident coming through turn 2 and 3. We'll get some replays in a minute. We also had Chandler Baker and Rui Farina fell back as well, as we get the replay from Jonathan. And we're on board here with the 17 car of Nolan Uke.
Just on the outside there.
Oh, just got in the grass. Got in the grass a little bit and kind of looped the rear end around. Did a little damage. Luckily, hey, we got plenty of fast repairs for these drivers. Yep. So he can, if he can't make it around, then he can come in and get a fast repair. He'll have a little bit of driving to do on his own until he can find some people to run with.
And here we go, the Mercedes then of Walsh is getting onto the back of all, coming out in towards the start straight. Over the line they go to complete the first lap. The Mercedes looks to go to the outside line in towards turn 1. He's going to have the long run round. Can he get it stopped and tucked underneath? No, he can't. Loses a bit of time there. And Corby Hull parked the car in exactly the right place. But I tell you what, to do with that, going back to that crash, very well from all the other drivers not to collect the spinning BMW there, because that could have been a real big one coming through. This is Alex Duval down the order in 19th place at the moment, having a bit of a scrap so far with that of Louis Rios just behind him, as we see the Tyler Manning and Brendan Linnard excuse me, up front in the McLaren and the Porsche, just going and having a bit of a battle through the International Horseshoe. But great to see at the minute that Mercedes just showing what it can do in the slipstream out front, as there is a car off in the wall. That is a Ford Mustang in the wall there, then dropping down the order, and that'll give Alex Duval another place up the order. I believe that may have been Kyle Shelton. I've just saw drop down a couple of places. But here we go, onto the oval section of the track again, and it's two Porsches going at it. This is Greg Meismer in the Pro Beneficiary Porsche at the moment. And he's taking on Martin Wallace, third in the Pro category as they come through Le Mans chicane. Also a bit of a scrap behind them as well between Tyler and Brandon Potts, just behind through Le Mans chicane. And a very tricky chicane to get right, because one mistake, you can easily be in the grass and lose the rear of the car.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Yeah, that's the one section of the track that you have to just get perfect every single time you come through. Because if you don't, you're going to get incident points, you're going to get slowdowns, you're going to get the wall. So you have to be very careful through there every single lap.
Indeed you do, as we see the blue BMW taking the high side through the tri-oval section of the circuit, down in towards turn one. He comes once again. The Corvette fancies a little look in the background as well, as that is the green car there, just going a little slow and yielding some time there to the three in front, and losing out 3 or 4 places there, as he's now going to look to maybe lose out once again into the International Horseshoe. Comes this of Jonathan Leby in that Corvette, the black Corvette, in behind these two out front at the moment. And what a battle that was there between the three of them, all taking different lines on the entry and towards turn one. And there's a bit of a spinner down the order once again as well. That is Cody Durkin in his Ford Mustang having a moment at turn one.
Yep, and he's got a little bit of right rear damage. I don't know if that was because of the incident or what caused the incident. So we're going to see coming down into turn one again. Oh, that was just him on the brakes a little early. The car, as he moved up, car on the outside just didn't have any chance of getting the car stopped to prevent that contact. And you can see that how these cars will take a little bit of damage, but that was quite a bit. And here we have Tyler Gilmet, who is we saw a little wide in turn one, lost a couple of positions. I think he just missed his entry line and just decided, I'm not going to force an issue. We've got plenty of time left. I'll make some time up later on during the race.
One thing to note about that Ford Mustang is this is what we find with these oval type circuits. You can't just cut across the driver's nose, because you are going to end up into the wall on the outside. You'll see it so often at these sort of circuits like Daytona, a bit of Indianapolis when we get to the part of the oval there at the back end of the circuit. But great fighting throughout all these drivers here. You just saw a bit of a slowdown for that purple and black Porsche coming through the Le Mans chicane that allowed the Ford Mustang through. This is Carl Smith we're riding on board with in that Porsche, car number 22. And he's trying to make up a few places already. One thing I will say is that looking at the timing screen, Walsh is still within that half a second mark of Ull up front, so he's not let Ull get away at the moment. This is the battle for the race lead overall and in class. He's not let Ull get away at the minute, but Ull setting the fastest lap on the last lap and some 10th and a half quicker than Walsh last time around, proving that the Mercedes, with its horsepower, with the slipstream, Ull is just a class driver.
Yeah, absolutely. Ull's like I said, last season basically just won every race he was in. But Walsh doing a great job. Yeah, as long as you can stay in that slipstream, running behind, you can, as long as you have to not make mistakes, and that's the thing. As long as you keep the car on the gray stuff, you're running your right line, you can kind of hang behind the car for a while, and then once we get to the back half of this race, anything's possible.
And I believe the cars are running at about 45% tank, meaning that they have got to stop. They've got to stop for fuel in this race as well to make sure that they can get to the end of this race. So pit stop's going to be key here. Strategy is going to be key to see who pits first. Maybe look for the undercut, go for the overcut. It's going to be an interesting one to see then, as we are on board with the Audi driver of Dave Bell, currently 5th in class in the beneficiary category. And he's on the back trying to gain another position on track as they come in towards the Le Mans chicane. So crucial to get this exit right. That there from the McLaren in front, possibly a little bit too much curb, and may give the driver a slowdown. Doesn't look it has done so far, but Dave Bell at the moment. Great to see these images of the drivers as well, giving it just a bit more of a personal touch towards the championship. It's a great feel here at the moment, as we can now jump up to the fight further up the order as well. This is Brandon Potts, leader in the open class He's trying to get onto the back of Rodney Campbell, but he's got Jonathan Labie just behind him, near enough, tapping him around. Coming through the International Horseshoe, and at the moment Brandon Potts doing a great job in that McLaren 720S.
Yep, did see a car off in the grass out there. Looks like maybe had a little issue in the kink, or going into that Western Horseshoe, had to take the evasive route.
Walsh.
It's Walsh.
It's Walsh. The P2 man from overall has dropped down the order. He's in the middle of this fight here. He's now dropped to 5th in class. We can take a look at what happened on a replay, but Walsh here, he was right on the back of Ull, coming into the International Horseshoe, then gets on the brakes. Off the brakes. It was actually Ull who had a moment, and it's caught out Walsh. So Ull has had the moment. Bit of a snap on corner exit. Walsh has been caught out by that one. Just taps the back of Ull, straightens Ull up, but spins himself around, and down the order he's dropped. Very, very strange here.
Oh, that is extremely strange. It's not often you see the top two drivers have issues like that, where the lead driver makes a mistake, catches out the driver in P2 who had a good run through the horseshoe even before that, and just nowhere for him to go. Had to try to check up and take the evasive route through the grass, and it's cost him several seconds on the track. So now he's got some work to do to try and catch back up.
Yeah, indeed he has. Just noticing that Tyler Gumet in P2 in the Pro Beneficiary class has just been into the pit lane for 50 seconds, so he's back out on the circuit at the moment and circulating once again. But Walsh has got to try and now recover all that time he's lost. Probably won't have any damage on the front of that car, maybe just a little bodywork damage on the front splitter, possibly so. Hard to tell, but he's now got to try and not only make his way through all these other category of cars, but also the 3 cars in front of him to get back on all. And that's not going to be any easy feat, although he did just set the fastest lap of the race. So, you know, we may be seeing Walsh try and charge through the field at the moment. The aggressive Salmon could be in full aggressive mode to get back to the front of the pack. This is on board with Tyler Manning, dropping back down to a fight, though, lower in the order with Tanner Master in the Acura then. In that third place in the Beneficiaries, looking up the inside for second place, where the Acura is going to be a bit stronger than the Ford Mustang. You see that Mustang? I don't think that's its decal. I think that's a bit of damage on the front end of the Mustang. Either way, the Acura there just couldn't quite capitalise on that moment. There's more tyre smoke here.
Yeah.
I don't know if somebody's had a problem. Obviously, Charles, you'll be able to see a bit better than me.
I did not see a car. I did see the smoke, but I do see Cody Durkin was off the track. I don't know if that was him or not, but it kind of looks like it might have been. We've got a couple of cars it looks like everybody's taking a little bit of off tracks as they're going through the bus stop for sure. So we'll see if we can find any replays, as we still see a little more smoke. And I'm hearing from our producer Jonathan that Ian Carney had a little bit of an issue. I think maybe going through the bus stop is where I saw that, and we'll see if we can get a replay here. So coming down through NASCAR 2 in the backstretch.
Mercedes on the rear into the Le Mans chicane. There you go. There's too much speed. Too much speed on the entry into Le Mans chicane there, and that is what has cost him. And there's an Acura actually having a moment in the background. That wasn't the tyre smoke we saw. That was entering the oval section of the circuit. We got the tyre smoke early on. This is Matteo. Let's see what happened to him again. Must be all on his own. And yeah, just on the curb. And again, possibly just too much entry speed into the Le Mans chicane. Got himself on the curb, unsettled the car. He's done very well to keep that out the wall.
Absolutely. That was a great recovery there from that spin. And yeah, it just looked like there's a couple of cars out there that are testing the limits of their braking zones, and just missing a little bit, carrying a little too much speed through there. And luckily, nobody's collected them yet. We've only had that a couple little incidents we saw during the course of the race. So far, so good as far as people, sideways getting called out. We'll continue on here.
Joshua O'Connor in the Ford Mustang, second in the beneficiary class at the moment. He's on the back of one of the other category cars out there on the circuit at the moment. He does have that Acura of Tanner Masters just behind him. I say just behind him. Look at how much the Ford Mustang pulls from that Acura in the straights. And then coming into the Le Mans chicane. Oh, bit of a problem there for the Corvette again. Just missing its brakes and having a bit of a slowdown now and getting in the way on the underside of the circuit. Now we get two Porsches going at it in towards turn one. Greg Meismer here, and that of, I believe, what is Martin Wallace, P2, in the pro category at the moment, going at it. And, yeah, great little fight there into turn 1 between the two Porsches. Also, are on the back of Colby Uhl. So, whatever problems Colby had maybe mid-corner before, he hasn't seemed to get rid of them, because Wallace is still within that 2-second mark as they put a lap down on the, what looked to be, I think, a Ferrari with a front end missing, but I couldn't tell.
Yeah. I'm looking. I don't see any damage on the back of Uhl's car, so I thought there might have been a little bit of contact with Walsh earlier, but it doesn't look like it's caused any damage. So I'm not really sure if maybe he's just got a little setup issue that he's struggling with as the fuel burns off in this car, and it's making it a little difficult to handle at certain sections of the track. But yeah. Wallace and Meismer are doing a great job trying to make that gap up. I think they're working. I think they're teammates actually. And we definitely need to talk with him about their paint schemes. Those are some unique paint schemes. It is to be said. So it's I've never seen anything like that before in my life.
Indeed, I haven't. And apologies to the Ferrari driver. It's actually the Lamborghini, it looks like, behind of John Hicks. It's got the front end damage behind this pack that these cars have put a lap on. As we jump back down the order at the moment. This is Mike Sachs so far on the back of Chris Walsh and just ahead of Carl Smith. Third place in category is Mike Sachs at the moment. Fourth place, Carl Smith. Chris Walsh obviously recovering from that earlier moment. He's up to fourth in class and he's a little bit off his other drivers in category. A lovely orange, sort of turquoisey blue on that Porsche coming through over the start line. There you go. Mike Sachs now having a look just up to the inside, and Walsh covers that one off, and Smith fancies a run around the outside here and nearly had a good chance of getting the run around the outside. The problem is you kind of run out of road as you take that wider entry through turn 1 and into the International Horseshoe. He's just lost a bit of momentum through there.
Yeah, just a little bit, not too bad. You know, as long as you're within about 1 second of another car in front, then it's pretty easy to make up that gap as you get up onto the oval. To the NASCAR straightaways, you get that draft going, and you can pick up quite a bit of pace through there. So as long as you're, like I said, within about a second, things are going to be okay. You've got a chance.
I don't know if Chris Walsh has passed these drivers on that last lap. His last lap was a 45.4, 9/10 of a second slower than Colby Uhl. So I don't know if he's managed to get past them two on that last lap, and that's why his lap was a little bit slower. This is a great fight here, though. Down the bottom end of the circuit, this is Brandon Leonard then onto the grass out of the Western Horseshoe, and now manages to recover. He's got the Acura just behind him off Brandon Matteo, and Brandon Matteo very high there, nearly into the wall, entering onto the grass.
Did I see him kind of ricochet off the wall?
Yeah, I think he's maybe clipped that a little bit there. He's definitely got a little too close for comfort, that is for sure. So Brandon Matteo really trying to push the limits and get the power down out of that Acura onto the back section of the circuit, into the Le Mans chicane. Look at it gain under the braking, and just having that confidence in a car that's good on the brakes, good through the corners. He just gets let down by its top speed on this circuit. And there's a slowdown for one of the Ford Mustangs just in front, so the Acura will be able to just go up high, go around the outside and tuck back in.
Yeah, that's Luis Rios. It looks like he may be a little slow coming out of the bus stop. And yeah, the Porsche, it's obviously a great car when you get into a really technical section. Just changing direction is fantastic. But for me, I've always struggled with that car with the rear end, especially under braking. Turn 1 especially at this track, as that's a wide. Had to do a little evasive maneuver there. The Porsches, just for whatever reason, they just want to they want to turn around backwards if you're just too much on the brakes. They have that rear end oversteer, or and it's a very difficult car to drive. But if you can master it, you can really be successful in your racing.
And that seems to be what the Porsche is, isn't it? You have to master the car. When you master the car, you will get results in that Porsche. Obviously, one of the only rear-engine car in the GT3 category is Matteo here, still going hammer and tong with that Ford Mustang of Luis Rios, I do believe that is, who is coming onto the oval now. And again, there's that Porsche just losing out. But that rear-engine car off the Porsche, it's like you say, great change of direction, good on the brakes. I tell you what, it is great at the traction zones, coming out the traction zones at certain corners. It is absolutely fantastic at but when more of the weight is at the rear of the car with the engine being back there, it's bound to be decent. Coming out of the traction zones there's the Acura in the background, just not being able to gain. It's kind of holding station in the slipstream, and you just saw it gain a little bit on the brakes there. And just watch again, look at it, as it probably will get a slow down for just going over the grass a little bit there. But the Acura just kind of holding its own in the slipstream as Walsh makes up another place on track there.
Yeah, he's moved up from I think he was around P11 overall when he had his incident. I think he's back up to 6th place. It doesn't look like he's making up just tons of time on oil. So this may be a difficult hill for him to climb in the final half of this race. But you can see, obviously, he got great pace on anybody except Colby Oil, unfortunately. So he's going to need a little bit of help. Hopefully he can get up to this next hurdle up to Brandon Potts and maybe get a little bit of draft off some of these cars as he's going. That'll help his pace overall. And maybe that'll give him a chance to close that gap down up to Oil. 13 seconds back currently.
I think he's going to be looking for a podium, isn't he? He might fancy that of Campbell, where he's about 5 seconds off the back of him going into this latter half of the race here. But the race win is kind of gone from him, hasn't it? And second place is going to be a tough one as well. Looking at the timing screens, lapping very similar to Martin Wallace on the last time round was 0.6 of a second quicker than Rodney Campbell as well. And let's not forget, at the moment for Chris Walsh, great job to be lapping in the 44s while overtaking cars. Fantastic job from him. I think all must be listening to the broadcast, because since we've said that he's not really dropping the Porsche, he's dropped the Porsche. It's now 3.5 seconds is that gap. So he must be listening to us and has thought, right, I'll put my foot down now and start to pull away. 3.5 seconds the gap for all over Martin Wallace, your leader in the pro category. Greg Meismer, then the leader in pro beneficiary. Brandon Potts, leader in the open class. And the beneficiary is led by Ian Carney at the moment. Then that is a Porsche, a McLaren, a Porsche, and an Audi leading all of the categories. So far, here is Ian Carney then. Down the order, obviously, but leading in his category. And correct me if I'm wrong here, Charles, I believe it is points per category, yes?
It is points per category. I believe that is correct. So these guys, and it's we're here to support us that will be in the pro and the open categories. We're here to support the beneficiaries. So we're out here having fun. These guys are out here working to try and get points and finish up at the top of the board. I'll constantly be looking out for them. So I'm just kind of looking. Tyler Gilmette took an early pit stop, and I don't know if that's within the pit window or not. He stopped, I think, on lap 4, 50-second stop. So it looks like it was, the proper time as far as just us normal service, nothing out of the ordinary. But he's a minute 18 back of Greg Meismer, and these guys had tremendous battles on track last season in the prototypes. So it'll be interesting to see if Gilmette has thrown a little strategy, pitted early, and maybe is hoping to get some track time off of the guys that he's driving around to see if he can make that happen, as we see Wallace coming down into the pits as well, making his stop.
Yeah, the P2 man coming into the pits for the first time in this race, and the only time in this race, as does Gene Kelly as well. He's 9 laps down. I've only just noticed that he's possibly retired from this race then. So Chris Wallace carries on his way at the moment. This is Kyle Smith looking up the inside then of Tyler Manning, and can't do so there. This is for 4th and 5th in that open category, and it's not about where you finish overall, it's about where you finish in your class. That is the main thing. Overall points do not matter. It is all about winning your category, and that is what Tyler Manning and Kyle Smith here are battling for at the moment. 4th and 5th on the circuit, just outside the podium. And Mike Sachs, who is just in front of them as well, actually, in that Porsche. McLaren Porsche going at it here then in the open class GT3 category. As Jonathan Levy as well came into the pits in the pro category, just looking down as well. A couple of the other drivers in the open class pitted, a few beneficiaries pitted as well. So 2 in the pro category pitted, and Martin Wallace in the pits for 18.8 seconds. So decent pit stop for him.
Yep.
He's managed to actually get that of Libby because he went in for 20, so 1.2 seconds gained for Wallace over Jonathan Pitts.
Yeah, let's take a minute as we're going through our pit cycle, and let's do our beneficiary spotlight for and tonight's beneficiary that we're going to highlight is Richard Davenport, who should be on pit exit and coming out, and there we are in the BMW. Richard Davenport is from Clarksville, Tennessee. Served in both the United States Navy and the United States Army. So signed up at the age of 17. Richard enlisted in the Navy, taking assignments in Japan and Missouri. He separated after 5 years of faithful service to seek out new challenges as a civilian. However, as events unfolded in Iraq during the operational surge, Richard felt he never fulfilled his obligation to his nation during naval service. He immediately re-enlisted with the United States Army, was assigned to the 41st Clearance Company, 1st Engineer Battalion. In 2010, Richard was medically retired from active duty service, has been in search of the same level of camaraderie and esprit de corps he found in service as others. And I guarantee you, being in the Discord with these guys, he's absolutely found it. So we're happy to have Richard out racing with us tonight, and we'll keep track of him. He currently is running in 27th overall. He was up as high as, I think, the mid-teens, so having a pretty good run so far, and we'll see how it all shakes out once pit stop cycle's cleared.
Yeah, we'll wait to see what happens when that pit stop cycle clears, as everybody has entered the pit.
Everybody else.
Yeah, everybody's decided to come straight in. Look at this train of cars coming out one by one. And what an interesting job this is going to be. Chris Walsh, did he pit? He must have done, because he came out behind a few of the others and actually lost time in the pits to Martin Wallace. Everybody's pitted. Corby all as well lost 1.5 seconds in the pits. Still has a 4.8 second lead. So Colby has really put the hammer down since we said he wasn't pulling away from that Porsche. He's really showing us what his pace is truly like. Still doesn't have the fastest lap of the race. So Colby, if you're all listening, you know, you got to pace just a little bit more to get that fastest lap. He's given a flash of the lights to the lapped car just in front of him then. And what a drive this is going to be at the moment. It's absolutely fantastic to see from these drivers out there so far.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was just a nice, easy pass. He gave the international signal of "I'm coming around," and I believe that was who was that car? That lovely black Corvette. I was able to he moved over, let Oil come around, and so he's going to lap down, but Oil remains out front by about 5 seconds. Wallace had a really good stop. Martin, I should say, was almost 2 seconds quicker during the pit stop than Oil, but really only gained about a little over a second overall during the course of the pit cycle itself. So good run in the pits. Maybe took a little less fuel than Oil did, and so that sometimes works to your advantage and sometimes doesn't. So that'd be one of those little things I want to watch out during the final few laps of the race.
That's interesting. He said he may have taken a little bit less fuel. He pitted a lap early, and obviously with the tanks only being limited to 45%, you'd imagine they'd all be kind of looking to take a similar amount of fuel. So it's going to be interesting to keep an eye on what fuel load he's got at the end. Has he worked that out to absolute perfection? Because if he hasn't, well, that could bite him at the end of this race, as Tyler there getting past Joshua O'Connor. That will move him up another place. He's only 41 seconds now off the back of Greg Meismer. 50 seconds he spent in the pits, and must have been a bit of damage somewhere on that Corvette. I tell you what, I'm enjoying the green on that Corvette. That is a beautiful looking car out there this evening for fishing racing at the moment. We are about halfway, or approaching halfway through this race as we enter the 26th minute here at Daytona. 15 laps have been completed. 14 laps have been completed. We're on lap 15, and what a race it has been so far. Plenty of action so far out there. The thing with Daytona is easy to get spread out, isn't it? With that oval section of the circuit, it's very easy to get spread out. So it may look like during the pit stops at the moment, not a lot's happening. This is where it's the time of race where it's all going to start to come together for the end.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got cars that are on kind of different cycles. That's a little tight there. I think that Porsche may have struggled just a little bit trying to get back up to speed, and maybe the Acura. I don't think quite saw as we see a spin. That is the 47 Ford Mustang of Tyler Reed.
Yeah, I think he dropped that on his own. I'm not sure if the Acura hit the back of the Porsche there, but Tyler Reed did look to drop it on his own there, coming onto the oval. There's a replay of that. So we can see the Acura and the Porsche just a little further forward. There's the other Mustang. That is purely, he's got on the accelerator there. He's pressed the loud pedal way too early, and around she goes. That does not like that, and yeah, he's gonna have to rework that. That is also going to hurt the tires massively.
Oh yeah. You've got too much heat in the tires. That's going to degrade them quite significantly. And if you're already struggling with the rear end, doesn't kind of look like he was. He looked like he had a couple of issues even before he got into the to the exit of the infield there, turn 7. It looked like he was maybe struggling a little bit on the brakes as he was going into turn 5, into that second horseshoe. Maybe it's a little bit wide, so maybe he's struggling with that car a little bit. It's obviously very fast in a straight line, but it does suffer a little bit when you're trying to get that car going side to side.
And the thing as well is a lot of drivers may still be learning that Ford Mustang. Obviously, it came to iRacing last year. It came to a lot of games or sims last year, especially the Assetto Corsa Competizione platform, the iRacing platform. This is a replay of Joshua O'Connor, now the International Horseshoe, coming through the dogleg. And what happened here? Just too much curb. And there we go. Sparks fly. And he's just... That is just, I think he's returned to the pits there as well. That is just a simple mistake of, one, too much curb. Secondly, trying to keep the foot to the floor to try and keep the momentum going. Spun it up on the grass, round she goes, and you're not going to stop that from heading towards the wall as Chandler Baker here in the thick of a great fight. But people still learning this Ford Mustang, and the Corvette's relatively new as well. Still learning it as Chandler Baker there, losing the rear of the car all on his own. And are we starting to see a few drivers make mistakes here? I wouldn't have imagined that the tyres are going to be going off at this stage of the race, but a moment on his own once again there. And very interesting one. This is a replay of this. He dropped it again just as he's entered onto the oval. He's dropped the rear of the car entering the oval. And that was a replay of him spinning earlier. And we didn't get to see at the end of the replay that he actually spun coming back on. This is on with Martin Wallace having a great fight with that of Greg Meismer. Second in the pro category and the leader of the pro beneficiary category going hammer and tong. And like we say, I believe they are in the same team, the ZFG Racing team, as Jonathan Laby here, I'm noticing, isn't circulating anymore on the timing screens. He is out of this race. Not sure why that is. We have got everybody still going apart from that.
Yeah, that's okay. I think I'm looking at the timing and scoring, and Laby is on his way out of pits. He stopped for 4.5 seconds. So my guess is he had to come in and take his fast repair, get the car righted, and can get back out on the track.
Yeah, indeed. So you're correct there. The other one we've lost is Cody Durkin in the beneficiary category down the order. But what a fight this is between the two teammates of Martin Wallace and Greg Meismer here, just kind of helping each other along and making sure they all work together. The first person you don't want to hit is your teammate, so make sure these two don't have a coming together, because there'll be all hell to pay in the chat room with them two, especially with all the teams here as we drop down the order towards that of Walsh, who's going around the outside of Brandon Potts, the leader in the open category. That's a spinner on the grass out on the outside of turn 2. And Walsh there has made a great move around the outside of Brandon Potts, the leader in the open category. Walsh up another place. And here's the replay of the spin. This is down with Alex Duval. Down in towards turn 1. Little twitch coming in towards turn 1 there. And he's just too quick. Too much power through the corner while the car's a bit unsettled.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the twitch actually, you've put a lot of load in those rear tires. And you get that first little twitch. It's like, I've lost a tenth. I've got to make that up. And then next thing you know, you're too hard on the throttle and you just kind of lose the car. And then it's the end of the barrier. It wasn't a terrible hit, but it's obviously going to cause some aero issues with that nose into the barrier. He's going to have to probably come in and take that fast repair, get the car reset, and they can get back out on the track. We're on board here with a couple of Mustangs working their way through the infield. Luis Rios.
Yeah, into the western horseshoe, just on the back of Brandon Mateo in the Acura. And at the moment, all looking pretty good. Luis Rios has kind of been on the back of Brandon Mateo for a lot of this race. Mateo would be deep on the entry to the oval.
Yeah, it just seems like that. He's got to the back of this, and it just can't go any further. And it's probably one of those where he can get a decent run around the oval section of the track, but then when they get down into the technical stuff, then the Acura really just kind of steps up a notch and makes it a little difficult. As we now have that was the 111 car in front, and that is Kyle Shelton and another Mustang behind Rios as well. So nice.
Rios just got to slow down.
Oh.
He's pulled to the inside. Didn't look like he got a great exit from the Le Mans chicane, except I believe that Shelton behind, I believe you just said, who's not managed to capitalise on that. So did they both get a bit of a slowdown penalty there? Because the Acura pulled away, and now you could just see how poor the Acura is in the straight line, because look at these two Mustangs just reeling it in as if they've lassoed it and being towed along and in towards turn one. The Acura is outbreaking by a huge margin, and the door opens. Thank you very much. You will not get an easier overtake than that.
Yeah, and I hate to say this, but the Acura, unless he can find a way around, as we see the 10 car a little wide there going into the horseshoe, unless he can find a way around these two Mustangs, I got a feeling these guys, once they get back on the oval, are just going to kind of pull away from him and kind of leave him in the dust, so to speak.
And like we've said, when you look at the calendar, Indianapolis, Road Atlanta, Laguna Seca, them circuits, Brands Hatch especially, will suit the Acura there, where it is more corners, not as many longer straights. Indianapolis, obviously, we know it's got the long start straights. As you see the Acura looking up the inside, can't make the move there, though. We know when you come to these, I'm not going to say proper race circuits, but more of a race circuit than a small infield and mainly oval, you're going to see the Acura be part of its own and really come to the forefront, as Greg Meismer here and Martin Wallace just exchanging places. Not that it's going to affect the standings in category. Obviously, one is pro beneficiary, one is pro. The Acura really, I tell you now, coming to Brands Hatch, that is going to be a track where the Acura will really be in its own. Laguna, the American circuits, we will see. But Brands Hatch especially, there's not a real long straight at Brands Hatch where you're really going to sort of, reach the top of sixth gear and pull away. You're not going to find that. Brands Hatch, you're going to be lucky to use a lot of sixth gear. So the Acura there could be an interesting one to keep our eyes on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as you even go further, I think the last half of the season, it's got a lot of those tracks like that. You mentioned it earlier, the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, CTMP, and then Virginia International Raceway is just heaven for a good car, a good technical car. And so you can see the cars like the Audi and the Acura and the McLaren really performing well at those circuits.
And that's testament to the calendar that Operation Motorsport have put out this year, because it kind of has, each track has its own unique identity, each track has its own, there's a good mixture of tracks on that circuit. One's for the powerful cars, one for the more technical kind of cars. Really going to spice things up when we go to these circuits and see what every other circuit can do. This is Brandon Leonard on the back of Tyler in the Corvette. He was on the back, sorry. I think Tyler's just got past him, actually, sorry.
Yeah, Guillemette still on there. He's actually made up some time on Meismer, obviously not nearly enough to make that a battle in class. So Tyler will have to just finish off this race and get ready for next week at Road Atlanta. So but those two guys put on a real show last season. They battled week in and week out, and it was I think I actually split as far as wins in class last season between the two. I think it's 3 apiece. So we're on board here now with as we're still watching this these two Porsches up near the front of the field. Ole has just basically checked out. He's up 9 seconds at this point. We saw a lot of that last season as well. Walsh is slowly creeping up on these two, so he might make this a battle yet for the podium. He's pretty close to the back of Campbell at this point, and still got enough time where he can get up there and battle for a podium position.
Well, I'm just going to throw something out there at the moment. We mentioned earlier that the pit stop was about nearly 2 seconds quicker for Martin Wallace over Colby Hull and Rodney Campbell and Chris Walsh. Is he fuel saving? Because all of a sudden his pace is down in the mid-40 towards that mid-45 area, while Campbell is mid-44s. Not that Wallace and Meismer have been really battling hard to lose pace, but Wallace has dropped off the back of Meismer. Campbell's now right on the back of him. Walsh is within 2 seconds. So has Wallace made a mistake on that pit strategy, underfueled slightly by pitting that lap earlier, not fueling for that 20 seconds? Is he fuel saving at the moment? Because that car looks very, very slow. 44.9 last time round. Still lost half a second as Chris Walsh bangs in a 44.0. Fastest lap of the race. He's right there in the background, is Chris Walsh. You can see his Mercedes just pop up in the background there. This is a three-way fight for the podium and a three-way fight for second place. And what was Chris Walsh, who I said earlier, maybe isn't going to get second place. Maybe that Martin Wallace has underfueled and is fuel saving the car, where he's just now feeling the pressure from the two behind him.
Yeah, maybe. I think you may be onto something there. Definitely, obviously letting Greg, his teammate Meismer, move in front obviously will allow him to do a little more fuel saving. He can use the draft off the 75 Porsche. And just save a little bit of fuel, lift and coast into the corners with no worries about this. But now he's, like you said, he's got Campbell right on his rear deck lid, and Walsh is coming in a hurry.
Yeah, Walsh is coming in a hurry, as is Campbell. Campbell's lost a bit of time now, so maybe Wallace has just turned that engine up just ever so slightly to get a bit more performance out of it. He's got a long way to go, though. He's still got a good 7-8 minutes left to go in this race. To get towards the very, very end. 1 minute 44 elapsed. We've got about 5 laps, I'd say, left in this one. Roughly, you see the tyre marbles there kicking up through the Le Mans chicane there. The lights have come on the BMW, and when the headlights come on, that means business. Campbell is fired up and wants that second place here in the pro categories. He's getting ever so closer in the slipstream. You just see that time coming down. It's under 0.3 of a second. It's at 2.5 of a second. Don't think he's going to be close enough for turn 1. He's going to take to the high side and look around the outside line, or is he going to tuck back and switch underneath? Brakes very early and thinks I'm not close enough yet to make that move stick. Whoa, very close to the tyre wall on the pit wall there as they come through turn 1. But while all this is happening, Walsh is just getting closer and closer and slowly bringing himself into a slipstream as he gets very close here. Does Campbell under the brake, and that BMW M4 solid on its brakes and just proving why.
Yeah, absolutely. Just the BMW is just fantastic on the brakes. And you could just see him tighten it back up as they get into those braking zones. I don't think he's kind of quite got the hand up on the Porsches in this middle section, but you can see when they get back on that straight, that BMW, that M-Power in the front of that car will drag that car down the track at a high rate of knots indeed.
You're just seeing there the lap delta between them over the last 5 laps there. Walsh quicker than Campbell over 3 of the last 5 laps in this session at the moment, and that Porsche's definitely had to turn a couple of engine notes up because Wallace is under immense pressure. This is where Campbell's going to get close once again. Needs a mighty run through the Le Mans chicane to really set himself up, and this is what we said, the end of the race is going to be fascinating. All them pit stops will come back together and the gaps will play themselves out. Right, he's only just over 0.3 as they exit Le Mans chicane. He's a little closer this time, now needs that slipstream to take into effect round the turn 4 banking, I believe this is at Daytona, as they come towards the tri-oval section of the circuit. It's 2.5. He's a bit closer this time around. Will he maybe look for a move up the inside in towards turn 1? Over the start line they're going to come to start lap 24. Takes the high side once again. Is he going to try and brake and come underneath him? No, still not close enough. That BMW needs a better run through the Le Mans chicane, but now he's got to start maybe checking his mirrors because Walsh is within 0.8 of him, and he's going to be pulling the 3 of them in at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Campbell just needs to be within 0.3 coming out of the bus stop. He's just outside of that the last couple of times around. He just really needs to tighten that up. Obviously, it's difficult because you have to kind of time the bus stop if you're that second car in line, because obviously you can get that. Looking to the inside there. Not, it's going to leave it open. Nope, not quite enough. You have to time that really well because obviously the car in front kind of dictates your pace through that chicane, and if you get too close, you could end up as something what we saw with Walsh and Ohl earlier in the race in turn 4.
And Campbell now 0.4 of a second. He's pretty much slap bang in the middle of Wallace and Walsh at the moment. Towards the Le Mans chicane we come. for the 24th time of asking. He's not going to be close enough to make a move here. Walsh has just pulled out the slipstream. He's just showing his nose. Hello, I'm here. As Campbell under the braking, getting a bit closer. And now, look at the run. He gets through the Le Mans chicane this time. Takes to the high side immediately. He's got such momentum. He's right up the bumper now of Wallace in that Porsche. He's just got to make sure he can make this stick. Walsh in the Mercedes behind has got to hopefully try and follow him through. He's close enough now to make the move as they come round towards the start line to start lap 25 of this race, side by side. The high side is Campbell in the BMW. They nearly touch as a little wiggle there from the BMW. Down in towards turn 1. Who's the best on the brakes? BMW tries to brake around the outside. Can he hold the momentum there? Is Walsh going to try and sneak a nose up the inside? He thinks about it and does. Into 2, flick it left for 3. And Campbell manages to hang on to second place. And anybody there could have ended up in any position. Great bit of driving from these 3.
Yeah, absolutely. Walsh got a little sideways coming through 2 and 3. Had to kind of arrest his momentum. Couldn't quite complete that pass on the 62 BMW. But he's right on the tail now, and so we're going to see the two big V8 monsters, or I'm sorry, the 2 big front engine cars working their way together, and see if they'll work together at least to get past these 2 Porsches, and then they can battle amongst themselves once they get through. So we're going to see a little strategy playing out here. They're going to have to come up with something quick, because I believe this is white flag lap.
I believe it is as well. When Corby crosses the start line, I believe it will be the white flag lap. One thing I will say, Greg Meismer in that ZFG Racing Pro beneficiary Porsche is helping his teammate out in the Pro category. An absolute treat, because he's just keeping his Porsche in a window where he's giving his teammate the slipstream, helping him through the quicker sections of this circuit, and that's possibly what is saving Wallace at the moment. You see the BMW now not close enough on the back of Wallace this time around. Here is Cody Uhl, who will be taking a white flag lap now with 40 seconds remaining on the clock. We start the final lap of this race. We are white here at Daytona for the final lap of the race. Wallace is in the pits. He's definitely out of fuel. Had to be running light on fuel that he hasn't even done the last lap. So it's now a battle of second place between Campbell and Walsh, who the gap is very minuscule. And Walsh has got past him on the timing screen. They're still side by side together. Through turn 1 they go. Walsh has now got it done. And somehow, luckily enough, after being 13 seconds, 12 seconds behind second place about 20 minutes ago, he's now second place in category, and this is how it happened.
Yeah, the run down into turn 1, you see he's right on the tail of that BMW, and just brave, deep on the inside, late on the brakes. That was a brave move down into turn 1, but makes it stick on the exit, and is able to complete that pass, and moves him up into 3rd place overall, and 2nd place in class.
Absolutely fantastic. He also set another fastest lap of a 43.941, did Chris Walsh. So he has been on fire in this race tonight. He had that moment, and it really wasn't his own fault, was it, that Colby Uhl had the little wiggle that caught him out and made Walsh spin. But I tell you what a recovery drive from this man. The American will be very, very pleased with the way he's driven here tonight. But it is going to be that man, Colby Uhl, who was dominant last season. He's already started this season in dominant fashion, 8 seconds in the lead of his nearest rival, as he comes round the final banking at the moment. Back to that fight for second place overall. Walsh is just close enough to that Porsche that he might make a move, but Colby Uhl will come to the line and will take the race win here in that Pro category. Colby Uhl takes the race win. What a win here, as Walsh and Campbell side by side towards the line. Who's going to take this second on the road? It will be that of Walsh, who takes second place, and a great P1 victory in the Pro beneficiary class for Greg in this one. Great drive from him. Brandon Potts, I believe, has finished in the open class category as well. He's actually, I think he was a lap down to that of Colby Uhl, or was about to be a lap down, but Brandon Potts wins that category then in the open category, and the beneficiary category is just coming towards an end with Ian Carney, the race leader, and is going to be your race winner here in the beneficiary class in the Porsche. Great drive from Ian Carney to take the win. Acura finishing second of Tanner Masters. Great stuff from him. But what a race till the end for Chris Walsh.
Yeah, absolutely. Great drive back up after that issue. losing down all the way down to 11th place overall, come back, finish second. Great recovery drive to get back up on the podium. Congrats to our pro bin winner, Greg Meisber, our bin winner, Ian Carney. Obviously, Greg, great drive last season. Ian really came on strong at the end of last season as well, and was always in a position for a battle, as you see that within less than a car length between the 104 and the 75. Just a great race all the way around, and a very clean race. Very few incidents during the course of this. So fantastic driving by everybody.
Yeah, I think we saw more drivers make their own mistakes than drivers have incidents with other people, didn't we? And that's a great start to the season. And what an opener here at Daytona. In a week's time, we'll be back live for Indianapolis on February the 11th. You are not going to want to miss that one at all. And again, just to run through the rest of the calendar: Road Atlanta, Laguna Seca, Brands Hatch, Watkins Glen Road America, the CTMP, the Canadian Circuit, and then the VIR, the Virginia Raceway track, coming up to round out season 10. What a start at Daytona. Can anybody stop Colby Uhl? Dominant last season and a great performance tonight. But I tell you what, Martin Wallace, he's going to have a look in the mirror and really think about that strategy once again, because underfueling by a lap is criminal, really, isn't it? Let's be honest. You've got to get to the end, and I think he was saving fuel for a lot longer than that.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think he kind of realized it with about 5 or 6 laps left in the races. Oh no, I've made a mistake. I'm going to have to do something. And it's just, when you're that late in the race, it's so hard to just try and save fuel without, literally ruining your race on the track where you're losing 4 or 5 seconds a lap just trying to save. So in the end, better to come into the pits and take your beating, and we'll reset for next week.
Indeed we will. Your final classifications then. Corby Uhl, the race winner from Chris Walsh, with Greg Meismer winning in the Pro Beneficiary category, 3rd overall. Rodney Campbell, P4, with Brandon Potts, winner in the Open Class, P5. Tyler Beeman, P6. Martin Wallace, P7, with Tyler Manning in P8. Kyle Smith was 9, with Bryce Fortune in P10. P11 was Mike Sachs, the winner of Beneficiary. Ian Carney coming up in P12. Tanner Masters was P13. Louis Rios was P14. Tyler Guillemette was P15. Kyle Shelton, P16. Brandon Mateo, 17th place. Brandon Leonard was P18. Matthew Iote was P19. Jonathan Leby, P20. P21 for Dave Bell. Oh, sorry, go on.
No, I was going to kind of pick up the slack there. Dave Bell in 21st, Dan Fendick in P22, Richard Davenport 23rd, Tyler Reed 24th, Rue Farina in 25th, Nolan Uke 26th, Alex Duvall 27th, Chandler Baker 28th, Philip Chartier in 29th, Cameron Aubrignon in 30th, and our final positions: John Hicks in 31st, Billy Oil 32nd, Christopher Pugliese in 33rd, Joshua O'Connor, 34th, Cody Durkin, 35th, Gene Kelly, 36th, Elliott Whitfield rounds out the 37-car grid.
What a grid it was. We have 2 people waiting in the interview waiting room, so we'll bring in Ian Carney to start with, and hopefully we'll be able to have a chat with Ian now, who is obviously our race winner in the beneficiary category. Ian, congratulations on the race win in class. Pretty good race for yourself. Talk us through it.
Yeah, I was a bit concerned there at first because last season we had 50 liters of fuel and now we have 45. So I knew from the start that my fuel calculator was telling me that I only had 1 lap of pitting and then to finish the race. If that makes sense, I had only 1 lap of green light there, and so I actually missed it, and so I was saving. I had a substantial lead after, unfortunately, Mr. Nolan, who qualified ahead of me, spun in the first couple turns. So I was in the fortunate position to be able to lift and save over and over, and I made it. I was really nervous I wasn't going to. It's happened to me multiple times, and when they were running the Daytona officials actually on iRacing, the service there. So I was, like I said, a couple times now nervous, and I'm glad that we got it done. I'm here to defend my title as best I can this season because, I think we got more competition this year, quite a bit more. So I'm stoked, looking forward to the rest of the season.
Yeah, and it looked a good race from yourself from this point of view. And obviously, me and Charles touched on it on commentary that this calendar this year looks like every track could be different for each different manufacturer car. The Acura could be strong somewhere, the Porsche could be strong in other places, the Ford strong as well. Do you feel that that's the way this calendar is going to work for yourself this season, that not every track may suit you down to the ground in terms of the car?
No, absolutely. I do think that will be the case. I'm of the opinion that my skill level is, while not inferior, I don't think that the choosing the meta car will make that much of a difference for me in particular. I'd like to stick with what I know, the Porsche 911. I raced it all last season, and I'll race it all this season again. I think that the familiarity with the car will overcome, in my opinion, the meta.
Yeah, completely agree with you. Indianapolis next week. Anything you can do there? Are you looking forward to Indianapolis?
Yeah, I'm absolutely looking forward to Indianapolis. Racing with all these guys from Opmo is such a blast, and I don't know exactly how it'll all go next week. I don't know if the Porsche is strong or what, but I'm gonna give it my all and give you guys a good show, hopefully, and we're gonna just see what happens.
Brilliant. Ian, anybody you'd like to thank last off?
I'd like to thank Opmo, Operation Motorsports, for having me on again this season. They're a fantastic crew. I'd like to thank you guys for helping us broadcast this whole bit. And I'd like to thank 4Wide Motorsports for helping keep me company during the race, and all the guys over there that have helped keep me in the game here on sim racing. I wouldn't do it if I didn't have buddies to do it with, and I'm glad to have them.
Ian, congratulations on the race win, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks.
Ian Carney there then, your race winner. Charles, anybody you'd like to pull in?
Yeah, let's bring Greg Meisman, our Pro Ben winner. We'll talk to him. Greg, a great start to the new season. They've moved you guys down to the GT classes along with the rest of us plebs. So, how you had a great battle up front. Obviously, we were kind of watching you and your teammate Bob up there running together, and then obviously looked like Bob maybe underfueled a little bit, had to come in the pits on the last lap. So, but talk about your race in general. It was really good battling up front.
Yeah, it's pretty good what you can do with somebody when you've been racing with them for, I think me and Bob have been racing for like 7 years on iRacing by now. So we know each other pretty well. And we started off slow, taking it easy, and then about the halfway point, we were like, all right, gloves coming off? We said, yep, and we decided to duke it out a little bit. Given I wasn't really in a fight for my podium position in the Pro Ben class, so we decided to have a little fun with it, put on a good show. Hopefully you guys liked it.
Yeah, absolutely liked it. We noticed it. Obviously, the battle that you and Tyler Gomet had last season didn't quite work out tonight. It looks like Tyler had some issues early on and kind of took the starch out of that battle that I know I was kind of looking forward to. So I really, the only other question I've got to ask this: who did your paints for your team?
Actually, so the paint scheme that Kyle Smith and I were running, kind of the same scheme, just different colors, were done by Tyler Reed. Thanks, Tyler Reed. And then we have several people working on paints throughout the team. ZFG as an organization, we're over 100 members strong at this point, so we have all kinds of people doing stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I will say that Bob's scheme is different. It's unique.
Oh yeah, he comes up with some of the best ones, right? I like throughout the years, and we have them all saved. We need to do a big supercut of all Bob's paints over the years because they've been great.
Yeah, absolutely. So Indy Road Course next week. So what are your thoughts about that?
Me and that track have a little bit of a contentious relationship, so we are gonna have to figure it out come next week. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Just happy to be back in a GT3 car.
There you go. So we'll go ahead and let you give any thanks that you want to give out, and then we'll let you go. Have a good night.
Yeah, I got to thank all the drivers for participating today. 35 cars, I think we had on track. That's one of the biggest grids I've ever seen in Oppo, and that's great. And then obviously all of my team members in ZFG, we showed up in force this year. I'm pretty sure we have a ZFG team member on each podium today. So yeah,
that's awesome. All right, Greg. Well, I'll see you next week because I'll be out on the track unless Ron ends up sick again. So
awesome.
I'm driving this season. If you see me on track, then you've had a bad day. I'm just gonna tell you.
Yeah. No, I'll spin you out. I keep it fair.
Yeah, fair enough. Thanks, Greg.
Yep. Have a good one.
That was Greg there. Let's bring in. Just looking at who has won. Tell you what, we'll bring in Tanner Masters in for a chat. Tanner, good evening. Welcome to the commentary booth. Decent result for yourself, to be fair. Good race all in all. How did that one feel?
Yeah, first race out. So last season we did the Mustang, so we're in a totally different kind of unit. Hold on, sweetheart. Hold on. Sorry, the boys in here. There you go, young man. That race felt great. It felt really different from, like I said, last season. We're used to having a lot of power and not a lot of turning ability, but this way around, it was a lot more infield work and a lot more trying to fight people off around the oval. So,
well, I have to firstly applaud you because the NSX is a personal favourite car of mine. So thank you for picking that one and making this championship so much more better for myself. But like you say, the power isn't there in the Acura. You know that there's races coming up where the Acura is. They're going to be a full strong force.
Yeah, I mean, it's any track that's not going to be like, oh, geez. The only time I've really put down in the Acura was actually at the Zandvoort, and then that was playing on last week in the in the official series. So I would assume that anything that's not going to be big like this is going to be a real good contender for the Acura. We got from 31st to 13th overall in the car. So I'd venture to say if we can get some more intricate and twisty tracks, this car will do really well.
Brands Hatch. Just wait for Brands Hatch, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
An interesting one for the Acura. Indianapolis, though, it's a baller start, finish straight. The Indianapolis could be a track where the Acura sort of shows what it can possibly do a little bit more than Daytona.
Yeah, I think so. I think once we get off that start, finish straight, like you said, that car is going to come alive all through Sector 2 and 3. For that week, first I got to qualify because this race we didn't qualify. We started way in the back.
Yeah. So. That one might help if you can be up the grid a little bit more. It makes your job a little bit easier, doesn't it? If you can be up the grid.
Just a bit, and it gives us a chance to fight with Ian. That was one thing I wanted to do today, and I didn't get a chance to because we fought so hard last season. But we didn't get to do it today. But maybe we get to do that in some of the coming races. So
indeed. Lastly, really, anybody you'd like to thank tonight?
Yeah, man. Well, obviously Josh and Luis tonight, man. The fights we had today, especially in the mid pack for about a good chunk of the race, were just phenomenal, and it was a blast. So, thanks to those guys, and I really appreciate putting the shoulders out today. So,
Tanner, congratulations on the P2 in class. I'm really looking forward to seeing that NSX out there more this season.
Absolutely.
Thank you for picking it, and best luck for the rest of the championship.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate you.
Charles, we've got two more in the waiting room, Louis Rios and Tyler in there. Who do you want to speak with next?
Let's bring in Tyler. I want to bring in the P2 in the Pro Ben category. Tyler, not quite the race you wanted tonight. It looked like you had a little issue early in the race. It just kind of put you on the back foot. So kind of talk through that early part of the race for you.
Yeah, it's I got caught up in qualifying in, I would say, the wrong group, which kind of set me back a little farther than I wanted to be, and then got around racing some guys and grabbed a slowdown through the bus stop and didn't give up the time quick enough and grabbed a 42-second stop and hold there on like lap 3 or 4.
That explains.
So after that, it was just grind away laps and see how far up the field I can make it.
But you had a pretty decent recovery, made it back up to 15th from the back of the field. So had a good run. Obviously, just kind of took the starch out. I was looking forward to seeing you and Greg renew the rivalry this season in that Pro Ben class. So so no such luck tonight. But we'll look forward to Indianapolis. What are your thoughts about that? I will tell you, Greg said he's not necessarily up to speed on that track yet.
I'm looking forward to it. I didn't have much experience in the Corvette coming into this race, so I got tons of that tonight, and I think I'm comfortable now, and now it's just to put some laps down in practice and see where we stand, and hopefully we can give you a good battle between me and Greg next week.
I'm looking forward to it. So we'll let you go ahead and go, but we'll let you give your thanks to anybody you want to shout out before you get out of here.
Yeah, I want to thank you guys for coming back this season. Got to thank Operation Motorsport and our series sponsor this year, Trophy.ai. Really glad to have them on board.
All right, Tyler Gilmet, thank you very much, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks. See you guys next week.
That was Tyler, and we can now speak to the final driver, Louis Rios, then, who finished third overall in the beneficiary category in the Ford Mustang. Louis, good race, P3 in category. Good start to the championship.
Hey, thanks, Matthew.
How was your race tonight? Obviously, tackling that Ford Mustang really on a good circuit for the Ford. It looked pretty good out there for you.
It was a lot of fun. Definitely challenging since I just started racing this car this week.
They're brand new to you, and we said this on commentary, Charles, that a lot of people learning the Corvette, learning that Ford Mustang. Mm-hmm. A real big task. You had a great fight, I believe, with one of the Acuras, the yellow and black Acura. For a lot of that race, we saw a few clips of overtakes between the pair of you onto the oval section of the circuit. Just tell us how the Ford felt for you then as a new driver of it.
It felt fast. It felt fast on exit. It was definitely different than the Ferrari that I usually drive. But I have a little bit of work to put in for a little bit more consistency in it. I could definitely feel the power, but I need to get a little bit more control.
You think that's going to be key going into these races where there's maybe not a lot of power to be used at certain circuits?
Absolutely. It'll be a lot of fun.
It is indeed. Indianapolis is the next destination that we go to in a week's time. What can you do around there? Do you like the track?
It's a very fun track. As far as what I could do, we'll see this week. What I could do in practice times.
Indeed so. And lastly, anybody you'd like to thank tonight?
Thank you to Operation Motorsports for putting this on. Thank you to you guys for streaming everything and hosting and everything you guys do. It's a great opportunity to race with a lot of veterans and a lot of people on track who are really fast. It's a great time. Thank you, guys.
Indeed so. Now, thank you, Lewis, there for P3 in the beneficiary class tonight. And we can't wait to see what Lewis can do throughout the rest of the season. Congratulations.
Thank you, guys. Take it easy.
Lewis there then, P3 overall. And I believe that is everybody we can speak to for this evening. Nobody else left to go. Charles, what a opener it was here at Daytona. You will be out on the racetrack, I do believe, if Ron.
If Ron, Ron. I would assume will be back next week. I know. I talked with him late last week, and he was kind of struggling a little bit with some cold and sinus issues. So hopefully he get through all that, and he can be back out here, and I can be out on the track, and I'm looking forward to it. Putting my Chevrolet Corvette out on Indianapolis. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, that's going to be fun indeed. Thank you to Jonathan as well, who's been our producer in the background, for bringing you the fantastic shots, replays, and all the action. And thank you all to the 36 drivers that took part in today's race. What an absolutely outstanding race it has been. Indianapolis is our next destination. What a track that one is as well. You will not want to miss that one. And once again, a quick run through of the calendar that I've seemed to have closed on my computer. Just give me 2 seconds while I find it here. A quick run through that calendar one more time. Daytona done. We head to Indianapolis on the 11th of February. 18th of February for Road Atlanta. The 25th of Feb for Laguna Seca. Brands Hatch on the 4th of March with Watkins Glen on the 11th of March. Road America 18th of March. The CTMP circuit on the 25th of March, and rounding out at the Virginia International Raceway on the 1st of April. And that one is going to be an absolute belter. You're not going to want to miss that one at all. I may not be around for Road Atlanta. I will definitely be here next week. But my partner is due to give birth around that week of the 18th. So we'll see if we're here in 2 weeks' time. At the moment, we will be here for Indianapolis. We cannot wait. Charles, hopefully we get to see you on the circuit next week. If not, it'll be a pleasure once again, because it's been an absolute honour tonight.
Absolutely enjoyed it, Matthew, and congratulations on the upcoming addition to the family. and I know that that's a very special time for everybody. I think everybody in here has been through that at least once, so you'll be new. Also, got to give a thanks and shout out to Trophy.ai, CrowdStrike, and Michelin for their continued sponsorship. We can't put these on without those guys, and just hats off to all those sponsors.
Indeed. Thank you to Michelin, CrowdStrike, and Trophy.ai as well. Once again, and I believe, I'm just going to wait for confirmation from Jonathan, that is about all we have time for today here at Daytona. Charles, pleasure once again. We'll get to see you on track next week, hopefully. Jonathan in the production team, big massive thank you to you as well. And that has been your Operation Motorsport Round 1 race tonight for Season 10. Round 2 is Indianapolis next week. We'll see you there. Goodbye.